Thank you for coming here today. So my name is Sangpu, and today I'd like to study about the Bible, whether or not God can be trusted. So first, I'd like to begin with a little quick story. In 2009, an American businessman was sentenced to 150 years in prison. His wealth management company was found to have defrauded thousands of people over billions of dollars, and people trusted that the man whom they invested their hard-earned money would act in their best interest, but the trust was betrayed. Now, trust is essential in day-to-day life. We trust that the package we send will arrive at its destination. We trust that a company will refund and return a defective product. And we also um, trust that when we make a withdrawal from the bank, the money will be there. Without this trust, life as we know it simply would not work. But there's a bigger question. Can God be trusted? And can the Bible be trusted? If a person has no first-hand knowledge of God, how can God push back against the arguments and earn that person's trust and refute the arguments of those who claim the Bible to be unreliable and false? God must demonstrate that the Bible is worthy of complete confidence by showing that it is not only historically true but also accurate. And in the Bible, God does that very thing. Now let's all put our minds together and jump straight in. First, how does God demonstrate that he can be trusted? Isaiah chapter 46, verse 9 and 10 say, "Remember the former things of old, for I am God and there is no other. I am God and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times things that are not yet done." By showing that he has the ability to predict things that will happen in the future, God shows that he can be trusted. In the story of King Nebuchadnezzar, how did God reveal his trustworthiness? Daniel chapter 2, verse 1 answers this by saying, "Now, in the second year of Nebuchadnezzar's reign, Nebuchadnezzar had dreams, and his spirit was so troubled that his sleep left him." The Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar had a dream that troubled him. And as he lay awake at night, he knew that he had a dream something of great importance, but he couldn't remember what that dream was. What was Nebuchadnezzar's reaction when his counselors could not interpret his dream? Daniel chapter 2, verse 10 says, "The Chaldeans answered the king and said, 'There is not a man on earth who can tell the king's matter.'" Daniel chapter 2, verse 12 says, "For this reason the king was angry and very furious and gave the command to destroy all the wise men of Babylon." This death sentence had serious implications for Daniel and his friends Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Although they were faithful followers of God, they were included in Nebuchadnezzar's inner circle of wise men, and this death sentence given to them meant that Daniel and his friends would also die. So what did Daniel do? Daniel chapter 2, verse 17 and 18 say, "Then Daniel went to his house, made the decision known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions, that they might seek mercies from the God of heaven concerning this secret." Daniel chapter 2, verse 19 says, "Then the secret was revealed to Daniel in the night vision." Having been given permission by the king to take time to consider the king's dream, Daniel and his friends prayed that God would reveal the dream to them, and God did. Remember, God answers prayer. How did Daniel describe the king's dream? Daniel chapter 2, verse 31 says, "You, O king, were watching, and behold, a great image." Unsurprisingly, Nebuchadnezzar, a idol worshiper, dreamed of a large image made of various metals. What were the elements that made up the image? Daniel chapter 2, verse 32 and 33 says, "This image's head was of fine gold, its chest and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of clay." What happened to this great image? Daniel chapter 2, verse 34 and 35 say, "You watched while a stone was cut out without hands, which struck the image on its feet of iron and clay and broke them into pieces. And the stone that struck the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth." Daniel told the king that a supernatural rock would hit the image, not on its golden head, but on its feet of iron and clay. This rock would then take the place of the image and fill the earth with its presence and power. What does the head of gold represent? Daniel chapter 2, verse 38 says, "You are the head of gold." So the thought of Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom of Babylon ever being overthrown seemed out of the question, such that its wealth that the prophet Isaiah had previously described Babylon as the golden city. The city walls were almost 200 feet tall and wide enough to fit 2 chariots. The gates of the city were made from solid brass, and within the city there seemed to be limitless resources, and the Euphrates River only added to the strength of the city. What did Daniel predict? What did Daniel predict would happen to Babylon? Daniel chapter 2, verse 39 says, "But after you shall arise another kingdom inferior to yours." Remarkably, Daniel predicted that mighty Babylon would be overthrown by an inferior kingdom. In Isaiah 13, chapter 13, verse 19 and 20, God had said Babylon would be overthrown and that it would never again be inhabited. Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom ruled from 605 to 539 BC. It was the combined force of the Medes and the Persians. The kingdom represented by the chest and arms of silver that overthrew Babylon in the most amazing circumstances. More than 150 years prior to the fall of Babylon, the prophet Isaiah predicted that a man named Cyrus would overthrow the city. And what God predicted years happened exactly as it said it would. What metal was used to represent the third kingdom, the nation that would take over from Medo-Persia? Daniel chapter 2, verse 39 answers this by saying, "A third kingdom of bronze which shall rule over all the earth." Alexander the Great led the Greeks, known for their bronze armor, to victory over the Medes and Persians in the Battle of Arbela in 331 BC. The Jewish historian Josephus documented how Alexander the Great knew his destiny as a result of being shown the prophecies of Daniel. What metal was used to represent the fourth kingdom? Daniel chapter 2, verse 40 says, "And the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron." The Iron Monarchy of Rome conquered the Greeks in 168 BC. The Romans ruled during the time of Jesus, and this great superpower was dominant for more than 600 years, and the long legs of time resulted in God's people being persecuted. How was the breakup of the Roman Empire described in this prophecy? Daniel chapter 2, verse 41 and 42 say, "Whereas you saw the feet and toes, partly of potter's clay and partly of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. So the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly fragile." So instead of being conquered by another world ruling empire, Rome would be divided into numerous kingdoms symbolized by the toes on the image's feet. By AD 476, barbarian tribes had conquered Rome, and 10 of these tribes developed into what would become modern-day Europe. Could a secular Roman Empire ever exist again? Daniel chapter 2, verse 43 says, "As you saw iron mixed with ceramic clay, they will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not adhere to one another, just as iron does not mix with clay." In spite of multiple attempts by many different world leaders, the Roman Empire has never been reformed and never will be, just as the Bible predicted. Charles Magny, Napoleon, Kaiser Wilhelm II, and Hitler all attempted to unite Europe under one banner, but all failed to do so. Even the European Union could not succeed in reuniting Europe. During World War II, certain British preachers drew large crowds by claiming that the Bible taught that Hitler could not possibly be successful in bringing Europe together under one banner. Relying on the prophecy of Daniel 2, the preachers were 100% right. Who will set up history's final kingdom? Daniel chapter 2, verse 44 says, "And in the days of these kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed." So Daniel spoke of a stone cut out without hands that struck and destroyed the image in Nebuchadnezzar's dream, and grew until it became a large kingdom that would fill the whole earth. The stone that struck and destroyed the image represents Jesus, who will ultimately sweep away the kingdoms of earth. And as his return, a stone or rock is often used in association with Jesus. Jesus was represented by the smitten rock from which flowed water for all of Israel, the rock in which Moses hid himself, and the rock which the wise man built his house. In addition, 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 4 says, "For they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ." The Bible predicts that it will be Jesus, not China, not the United States, not Israel, who will set up his kingdom and ultimately rule the world. There will be a fifth Roman empire, an empire ruled by the King of Kings, whose kingdom of peace will last forever. What will happen to earthly kingdoms when God sets up his kingdom? Then in chapter 2, verse 44 says, "It shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms." The stone strikes the statue at its feet, indicating that Jesus will come during a time of divided nations. The kingdoms of this world will be destroyed, and as all the previous aspects of the prophecy have been perfectly fulfilled, so that it will be Jesus that will soon return and establish his eternal kingdom. What did Nebuchadnezzar say about Daniel's God when he realized that Daniel could reveal the meaning of his dream? Daniel chapter 2, verse 47 says, "Truly, your God is the God of gods, the Lord of kings, and the revealer of secrets." When Nebuchadnezzar saw that Daniel's God could remember the forgotten, foretell the future, and overrule any earthly kingdom, he knew that this was the true God. This was a God that not only created secrets but revealed them. Now, there are three important points to remember. One is that God has ultimate control over this world. The second one is that we are living in Earth's last days of history. And last one is that God's kingdom will last forever. Now, I hope all of you have learned something new and valuable, and that will be all. Thank you.